Good morning, class. Let's take a look at this problem here. We have a random sample selected from a normally distributed population. We want to identify the null and alternative, the test statistic, the p-value, and then make the decision. So we have a manual on how long, to have a number one song. It states that a song must be longer than 210 seconds. We have a simple random sample of 40 songs. They have a mean of 240.8 and a standard deviation of 55.6. So these are sample statistics, alpha 0.05. We want to test the claim that the mean time is greater than 210 seconds. So that means the null and alternative are right here. Okay. Now, note that you put, or someone put, that it was, the null was less than. Remember that the null statement must always include equality. So therefore, B and D are going to be ruled out automatically. So only A and C are open for consideration here. Okay? Now let's find the test statistic. Okay, indeed it will be a T, as in Tom, okay, because we are only given sample statistics, and the sample size, even though it's 40, is relatively small. So let's go ahead and go into StatCrunch. Go to Stat, T-Stat, one sample with summary. The mean is 240.8. The standard deviation is 55.64 and the sample size is 40, and they tell us the mean, the null is 210 and the alternative is greater than. So let's go ahead and hit compute, and that gives us a t-stat of 3.50 to 2 decimal places. Okay, and again, remember, how was I able to make this determination? Okay, I recognize that the population standard deviation was not offered. Okay, so remember that if the population standard deviation is not offered, I have to look at the sample size. If the sample size is enormous, then T and Z are indistinguishable. Okay, but in this situation here, 40, even though it's greater than 30, is still relatively small. So T is going to be a better approximation. Let's go back to my StatCrunch output here. The p-value is 0.001 to 3 decimal places. So that's relatively small. And now let's make the decision. Well, alpha is 0.05, the p-value is 0.001. P-value is smaller than alpha. Therefore, I'm going to reject the null. So A and D are eliminated automatically. And if I reject the null, there is sufficient evidence. So B is going to be the appropriate response. What do the results suggest about the advice given in the manual? Okay, well, this record producer, whoever it is, says that songs must be longer than 210 seconds. Okay, and he took 40 hits and he found that it was 40.8 seconds. Okay. So what this tells us is that the record producer appears to be stated that there must be no longer than 210 seconds. Okay, so let me go back and read this. Must be no longer than 210 seconds. So this is very important. Make sure that you read these statements very, very carefully. No longer than 210 seconds. So that means that in order to have a number one hit, you need to have a song that is relatively short. Okay? Okay, they looked at 40 hits and they found 240 seconds, which is longer than 210. Okay? So what that suggests is that the record producer is actually, whoever this is, the manual, okay, is actually incorrect. Okay, and that we have successfully refuted their statement. The results are inconclusive. The results suggest that 240 seconds is the best song length. Well, that's not true. The results do not suggest that the advice of writing a song that must be known is sound advice. This one might be possible. The results are inconclusive because the average length of the hit song is constantly changing. I don't think that's correct. Maybe. The results suggest the advice of the writing the song must be is not sound advice. So I think D is going to be the best answer. Okay? So again, you have to read these questions and read these statements very, very carefully to make sure you pick the right one. Okay? We rejected the null. Okay? The null was that songs have to be no longer than 210 seconds. So that means we determined that, in fact, that was not a valid statement. So it looks like this is not sound advice. Thank you.